You already know what it is, man. It's your boy Kev Green from BRC Global, and you are live in the Doghouse right now. If you're watching this, make sure you share it. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe.
What's up, y'all? Y'all back in the Doghouse with Robbie Mitchell, 47 Built.
Kyle Lynette with RMR Bullies.
Jared Jorgensen with Mount Olympus Bullies.
And today, we're here to talk to you about breedings and whelpings, whelping a litter really, and what we prefer, what we've experienced, and why we recommend what we recommend and prefer what we do. So we're going to start off with Jared.
All right. So everything I do when it comes to breeding takes place in a vet's office. And as soon as I see the first sign of blood from one of my females, I'll call my vet, get an appointment for a progesterone test. And progesterone tests to me are super important. Reason being is, say you want to use a stud from maybe out of state, out of country with a really big kennel, or from a really big kennel, a really big name stud, you know, this stud fee could end up costing you maybe $5-10K. You don't really know how much these stud fees are running these days. And so I think it's really important to get that progesterone testing done. You want to get that stud, you want to get that breeding to take with that stud. And the progesterone is going to make sure you get it the very right day that you're supposed to breed her on. The very day she's ovulating, they're going to be able to tell you that from a progesterone test. Mm-hmm. Without that, it's just, you know, shooting in the dark. You really have no real idea. And so I get that progesterone test done. Typically, they'll test her. If her numbers aren't at the right level, they'll test her like in a day or two again, and her numbers will rise. And once they're right at the right peak and she's ovulating, that's when we'll do breeding. I typically do either TCI, which is a transcervical breeding, or I do surgical, which I only really do surgicals with frozen semen, but with fresh chilled semen, I've had a lot of success with TCIs. For me, I've actually done a couple of breedings with some studs that were out of state, and so that's why that progesterone test is so important to me. And you want me to go into whelping litters as well?
Well, yeah, go ahead and cover your side.
Okay.
And we'll just each go.
And then when it comes to, well, my vet, we'll do the breeding once she's ovulated. Then we'll plan, I think it's like in 4 weeks we'll go in and do an x-ray or so. I want to say.
An x-ray confirmation.
Might be a little bit later than that. I might be.
It's like 50-something days.
50 days. Yeah, so, or not an x-ray, I'm sorry, an ultrasound. An ultrasound to confirm whether or not she's pregnant.
Right.
Oh.
Then, if we confirm whether or not she has taken and gotten pregnant, we'll go in about 3 days before we're going to take pups out and do an x-ray, and that gives you an idea of how many puppies you're going to have and what you're going to, basically how many hands you're going to need to
exactly
handle the delivery and all that, and just prepares you. Like a lot of vets will sometimes do x-rays to tell you whether or not your bitch will be able to have them naturally or whether or not you should plan on a C-section. Me personally always plan for a C-section. I've had vets tell me that a bitch would be able to pass a puppy, that the skull wasn't very big, you know, and then you end up with a puppy that's ultra wide.
And you're in an emergency C-section.
In the shoulders, and you're in an emergency C-section. And more than likely you end up losing that pup. And
right.
Those are usually real nice pups that you end up losing. And so for me, it's just worth it to me to get the C-section rather than to risk losing even one pup. Because that one pup, like we've said in maybe previous podcasts, that one pup could end up being a superstar. You know, you never know which pup's gonna end up being that real star. You know.
Yep, of course.
And that's why it's super important to nurse every one of these pups, you know, to health, the whole process, and make sure you can get everyone, you know, through healthily as much as you can. I mean, there's some things that you can't prevent. Like nature takes its course, but of course you want to play as much of a role as you can.
Right.
in helping these puppies, stay healthy and remain healthy throughout the remainder of their lives. But yeah, so we'll go in, typically do a C-section when her numbers actually drop. We'll do what's called reverse progesterone testing, and they'll take their blood, take the progesterone levels from that, and they'll tell you whether or not she's ready to. She's going into labor, basically.
Which is huge. In reverse progesterone testing, which I think we could all agree
is also super important.
Is really important because a lot of people will go into vets that have done a breeding outside of, say, that vet, and they don't, precisely know what the exact date is. So, they'll be, like how Jared is saying, they'll be shooting in the dark, and they go in to get a C-section done, and you have puppies that are born a week early and they're premature and they don't happen to make it. Because as we know, a puppy that's not past 61 days, unfortunately, outside of the womb, has about a 20% chance of making it, I believe is what it was. So it's super important to get that reverse progesterone test done.
Yeah, I agree. And you can even have people take pups too late,
Facts. 100%.
And so that progesterone test is just basically your best bet of timing it right on the money, right when she goes into labor. Most of the time, she doesn't even stress. She doesn't even start stressing herself that much. She just starts having mild contractions, and then she goes to sleep, wakes up, her pups are right there for her,
Yep.
And it's honestly, it's not very invasive at all. It's a lot less invasive than fixing dogs. So for a lot of people who are against, C-sections and dogs and things like that, it's not very invasive at all. It's very safe for the female. It's actually probably your safest bet as long as your dogs are good with anesthesia and don't have any allergic reactions or anything like that. But dogs are remarkable in their recovery process. They're up and running the same day. You actually have to kind of hold them down a little bit.
Yeah,
keep them from opening up those
Trying
stitches.
to jump over the whelping box.
Yeah, so it's not like people at all. They're not down and hurting or in pain. They're remarkable in their ability to overcome the C-sections.
Right.
And so yeah, we always do the C-sections, and in about, I want to say, 7 to 10 days, the stitches come out, and your bitch is completely healed. You can hardly even tell that she had a C-section.
Right.
You just keep treating it with we like to put maybe a alcohol, like a rubbing alcohol type of solution on maybe just a cotton pad, and just clean that incision wound every day, a couple times a day, just to keep it nice and clean while it's healing.
Right.
And then 7 to 10 days later, you get those stitches out, and your bitch is good to go. But your pups, we usually go in for a checkup, I want to say 3 days after the pups are born. We get the dew claws removed. We get a full check on every pup. And then after that, we just have their checkups at 6, 9, and 12 weeks. If any puppies are still around at that age, we get all of them vaccinated up until they're fully vaccinated. And that's just to keep dogs on my yard protected as long as they're with me.
Of course.
I don't want any dogs that are half vaccinated. And if someone buys a dog from me that ends up, being maybe 4 months or something, I want that dog to be fully vaccinated like it should be.
Right.
And so, yep, we vaccinate all pups. We also do that in the vet's office. It just makes it easier for our new puppy owners to transfer those shot records over to their own vet, because a lot of vets will not accept shot records from a breeder.
Right.
So you can give them their shots in-house, and that will keep them protected for their new owners, which is really great, which is the most important part. But 9 times out of 10, their vet's going to make them redo all those shots again, and I don't know. I personally don't want my pups to be, shot up with multiple shots when they just need that first set, Those first, 3-4 sets, and
First 4.
they're covered. I don't need any extras being shoved into them. I don't want anything to affect them in their life. And so yeah, we get them fully vaccinated. I also do ear crops too. Most of the time, I'll just do the whole litter. My vet prefers it that way. It makes it easy. Most of my buyers prefer the cropped look anyways, because most of my dogs, when they see them, they have their ears cropped. All of my dogs have their ears cropped. And so if they see one of my dogs and are basing it off that appearance, they want their dog to look like that, with the same crop.
Right.
And so we'll get them cropped by our vet for them. Saves them the process of having to look for one. Because it is, I don't know about other places, but out here in Utah, it is becoming a lot harder to find a vet that does real good ear crops. Or just does them, period.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got what, like 3 or 4
think
here?
there's like
Maybe 3 or 4, yeah. And they're stretched all around the valley.
Yeah.
And like only 2 of them are actually kind of good.
Yeah, 2 of them are pretty good. The others, hit and miss.
Yeah.
Shout out Lot, shout out Pew.
Yep, for
So,
sure.
a big-
Oh yeah, I'm gonna shout out South Mountain Pet Care because that's my vet. They're strictly a repro vet, and they do great work for all breeders. Anybody who breeds or even shows dogs, that's where I would recommend taking your dogs to be like looked at, and especially for breeding purposes. Like if you're gonna do anything breeding wise, they're the best vets out here in Utah. And so I don't know, I can't remember where I was going off on, but ear crops. So ear crops, we get them cropped typically about anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. Just depends on what the schedule's like for my vet. We get them cropped, and then they go through a little procedure. We actually keep all of our puppies kind of separated while their stitches and everything are healing, because those little bastards will tear out stitches so quick.
It's terrible.
Quick.
Themselves, too.
Yeah.
So you put another one with it, it's even worse.
Yeah. And the posts, man. When you're posting your puppy's ears, yeah, it's just best to keep them separated. It's the smart thing to do. It's too much work to have to keep going back and forth to your vet, or to keep having to post them back up yourself. And so I keep them separated until they're fully healed, posted, and then I let them go back to playing with each other again. And most times they get used to being in a crate at that point because they've been isolated by themselves, and which is good for their new owners. They get used to being in that crate, so when they go to their new homes, they're used to going in that crate. And they get sometimes close to being fully potty trained, but puppies are puppies. You just got to keep them on a schedule.
Yeah, of course.
And once they get used to going out of their kennel and going outside, it's just a matter of keeping them on a schedule, which is, if you get a puppy from me, most times you'll get it where it's been crate trained and on the way to being potty trained at least. And so that's how I handle all of my whelpings and breedings. Or I guess I didn't really go into too much detail with my whelping. My whelping, I'm really particular about the way I whelp puppies, like I said, because you never know which dog will be that star, Especially with this breed. This breed fluctuates so much still. It's still finding that perfect look,
Mm-hmm.
You can have quite a few different looks in just one breeding happen occasionally, depending on how you match up the pedigrees and things, which you have to do just to keep this breed going. You have to diversify it and mix in different bloodlines and different genes into your gene pool on your yard, or else you're just going to inbreed into oblivion, and you're going to have health problems start coming up left and right with all your future productions. And so that's super important, but not to go off too much on that. I keep really close eye on all my puppies for the first 2 weeks of their life. Just make sure each one of them's healthy and strong and thriving. I actually will keep them in just like a little laundry basket with just a little towel and a heating pad. And so I'll keep them in there when they're not feeding, and I'll just keep them on a feeding schedule, kind of like a makeshift incubator. I haven't purchased an incubator yet, but I need to look into doing that, because probably
The one South Mountain put me on is really nice.
yeah,
that
South
thing's
Mountain has
insane.
some-
The glass.
It costs a pretty penny, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've
I
been
highly
looking at
recommend
getting one because they're really awesome. And they maintain that temperature. You never have to really worry about it. I'm constantly checking the temperatures with like a little thermometer and everything on my pups. So
Well,
I
the big
need-
thing about that system too is the oxygen as well. You know, the
Yeah.
oxygen that gets pumped through it.
Mhm.
That's a big thing that I like about it, and also the temperature. You know, the way that it's set up too. You can see straight through it. It's got glass. It's like super nice, clean setup.
Yeah, temperature is really important too for puppies. You have to keep them at a specific temperature for their first like week or two of life because they can't maintain their own body heat. So you have to watch for those signs when they're scrambling all apart, looking, you know, that's when they're typically too warm. When they're huddling on all up together, you know, in a pile, that's when they're a little bit too cold. So you got to watch for those little signs that they'll show you when they're in a whelping box or an incubator. But incubators are nice because they keep them at a constant temperature and you don't really have to worry about that. But I keep them just in a little makeshift incubator and keep them in there 24/7. I keep their mom separated from them until their mom needs to feed them. And I'll go and put them each with their mom in the whelping box and she'll clean them up real quick, get them to go to the bathroom, and then they'll each feed. I'll make sure each of them feed and get real full and each of them are eating a real good amount. Then I'll go and take them and put them back in their little incubator and let the mom rest for a little while. And I'll set like little alarms. So I typically do it every 2 hours or so for the first, week, and then once they get a little bit bigger and stronger, you can kind of stretch that out to 3-4 hours apart. And usually, if you pay attention to the puppies or the mom, they'll let you know when they're hungry. But that's what I do. I keep them separated. Just there's a lot of things that can go wrong. Your bitch typically your bitch still has anesthesia in her if she's had a C-section, or she's just exhausted if she had a natural birth, and so she'll just happen to lay on 2-3 of the puppies and smother them. And it can happen in a matter of a minute. You can walk out, go to the bathroom, and come back, and half of your litter can be gone.
It's quick, yeah.
And I actually learned this a really tough way. Fortunately, I've never lost a puppy like that, but I did have a litter one time, and it was December 23rd, so it was 2 days before Christmas, and I had my puppies, and I went upstairs just to visit with my family for a little bit that had come to visit for Christmas. And then I had this really, really like bad feeling in my stomach. I was like, I really need to go check on my pups. So I ran downstairs, and sure enough, my female had jumped or laid on top of one of the puppies. And so I just quickly grabbed her by the collar, pulled her straight up out of the whelping box and off of the puppy, and had to resuscitate the puppy. And actually, the puppy didn't have any problems after that, which was a miracle. It came back to life, and luckily I was down there just in the nick of time, or it would have been a nightmare for me to deal with. And that puppy actually went on to go to the UK for 10K. So you really never know, like I say, what puppies are going to be a star. And so that's how I learned that lesson. It's a really, really important lesson. And it's a tough one. It's a tough one to learn. And so I keep all my pups separated from their mom until they're ready to eat. And once they are I separate them from their mom at 4 weeks when they can start eating solid foods. Get them on solid foods, wean them off the mom. And at that point, they're just good to go from the mom. I guess is that what we're covering as far as whelping wise?
Yeah. I mean, that's quite a bit.
Sorry, I hope I didn't go into too much detail.
No. So touching back on whelping and C-section and stuff like that, what would you say is really would you say you prefer C-sections really over natural because have you had a natural before?
So I've done it both ways. I've had a natural birth where everything went according to plan.
Uh-huh.
I actually had a natural birth where I had 8 puppies, and I waited for the the bitch to have any more puppies. I took her on a little walk, you know. She calmed down. Her contractions kind of calmed down. She went back to bed, you know, and I went to sleep for a little bit, and I woke up the next morning and there was 9 puppies. I was like, oh my gosh. So she delivered the last puppy by herself, no help at all. But you never know what can happen in that sort of situation.
Right.
But fortunately, she didn't have any issues delivering her puppies. So
Thankfully.
I've also had another litter where I tried to do the same thing, where my vet did an X-ray, told me that the skull sizes were not going to be too big. The female wouldn't have any trouble passing them, and then the shoulder width was just too wide for her to pass between her hips, and so I had that puppy get stuck. Ended up in the emergency vet with a C-section that ended up costing me, I think, $2,200 or something, which is not a big deal at that point. At that point, I just wanted to save my female, because I thought I was gonna maybe lose the entire litter and my female at that point, just because she was really straining and could not pass this puppy. She just gave up trying to even pass it. And so I knew I had to get her into the vet immediately. I called in, got in for an emergency C-section. Ended up losing that puppy because he got stuck, which he ended up being the biggest pup in the litter. And so you never know what he could have turned out to be.
Yeah, you definitely never know, like especially with those nice ones.
Yeah,
It's
and so
crazy.
that was the last time I ever tried to do a natural birth.
Yeah. Well, thankfully they made it all right, and it's one thing. I think one thing we should point out as well is females don't always react the same way to these C-sections. A lot of times when they wake up from this anesthesia, they don't necessarily know the process of what's gone on. So you may go through an experience of where you may have to tube feed these puppies, like Kyle and Lynette are going through. You guys want to touch on a little bit on what you guys have been experiencing with that?
We tried the C-section once before on this bitch we had, and she rejected the whole litter. We ended up losing that whole litter due to lack of knowledge on a lot of things, I'd say, give or take.
Which is why we're here.
Yeah, and I think they were like a day or two.
And they were
early,
like
maybe
3 days early.
Even
on the
just
C-section.
1 or 2 days if they're too early.
Oh, yeah,
they're
yeah.
not gonna make it.
Yeah.
The
So
chances are so
to follow up on that progesterone, the reverse progesterone, that's highly recommended. If your vet says it's not necessary, always get it done.
Push it.
Push for it.
Definitely push for it.
Not all vets even do progesterone.
Yes,
no,
that's
So if your vet doesn't do
right
progesterone,
there.
find a new vet.
Find a new vet.
Find a
Go to a
new
different
vet.
one.
You need one of
Invest.
those.
Protect your investments. Find a vet that really cares about what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, if you're really invested into this and you really want the best results, you're gonna do whatever you can to protect that. So in getting the progesterone test done and going and making sure either you schedule in a C-section or to have them help you. I know South Mountain, they actually told me they offer whelping services as well.
Oh,
You just,
really?
you have to leave the female there. So I don't know if every vet offers that, but there's a lot of different reproductive vets that could help you out in different situations like that. So that way, if you're ever in a situation like this, you kind of know what to do.
Helping service.
Looks like I'm coming to the shows, guys. South Mountain's whelping the litter.
There we go. But
But to follow up on the tube feeding, so I've been tube feeding these pups since day 1 of birth. Tube feed them every cc, like for each ounce of the pup weighs.
The
or
first
whatever.
couple days it's less though.
Yeah.
Because they can't take that much weight.
Right.
They can't take in that much milk
Right.
because their stomachs are tiny.
right, in the first couple of days of birth, they actually lose weight, and then
Yeah,
they
they do.
they'll gain it
And
back
they'll
within
gain it
about
back.
3 to 4 days.
So you want to always weigh those pups, make sure they're gaining weight and such. And then you're going to get this catheter from your vet. It's called a French tube. You're going to line that to the last rib on your pup, go straight down their throat. Then you're going to pull back on that syringe, and it's going to do a little suction. If it sucks, like pulls through, that means you're in the lungs. So you want to make sure it has like a plunger effect to it. And then you're good to slowly inject all that milk replacement for your puppy.
And what's the reason that we'd want to make sure that it's doing the plunging effect?
Because you want to make sure you're not in the lungs, because you can drown your puppy, you can kill your puppy, you can give your puppy pneumonia, you know.
Aspirate.
Aspirate, that's a big one. Aspiration is what.
Aspiration is huge with puppies that need to be.
That's why
tube fed.
I'm scared of using a bottle. I've had pups aspirate and pass away in the past. So I recommend tube feeding if you're going to be...
Tube feeding is the quickest as well.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
it's really
Heck yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
It's
Super fast, super efficient.
yeah.
Bottle feeding is a nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
I currently have a little female with a cleft lip that I tried to tube feed, and for some reason she wasn't doing too well. She wasn't really taking it. Not that she wasn't taking it. She just wasn't really gaining weight, and so we tried the bottle. She took the bottle really well and started. She now is almost bigger than one of the other runt female in the litter. So I'm pretty surprised. But like, have you guys experienced? I've kind of experienced the same thing, not exactly with puppies, but with other livestock animals, with aspiration and stuff like that. And I know that tube feeding is one of the most efficient ways to actually get that newborn or newly born puppies, whatever it may be, the supplement that it needs to really make it.
I've had pups that I had a hard time tube feeding as well, and just the bottle, they just did much easier and much better on the bottle. The bottle's a lot more work, I'll tell you.
It is a lot more work, yeah.
Tube feeding can also be really hard.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, especially when they start getting teeth and biting your fingers.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
And a big thing about tube feeding too, I want to point out, is confidence, is having confidence actually in doing it. Because a lot of these people, they get to a situation where this is the only thing that they have to do. That's the only option, and they kind of panic. They get nervous. They get scared. Being nervous and being scared of what you're doing is completely fine, because you actually care about what you're doing. So be calm. Think about the best way that you're gonna help this little newborn puppy, what it may be, and if you need to, ask for help. That's a big thing that I feel like a lot of people don't do, is they just try to do it and then they make a mistake. You don't always have to just make a mistake. Ask around, see if there's people who can help you. If a local vet, can't help you right away, I guarantee you there's someone in the area who could help you out with that.
Yeah.
Some people wait too long to ask for help.
Yes, don't wait.
Don't hesitate
wait.
to ask for help if you need it.
Absolutely.
That's important.
It's really important.
We had to call our vet because we wanted to switch formula. And we wanted to make sure it was good to switch them.
Yeah, so
And they recommended to slowly, gradually change it.
So, yeah, we switched milk replacers on our pups, and they're doing way better on this new milk replacer called Uni Milk. It's a multi-species milk.
Okay. And where's that found at?
That's found at any feed store, really.
Any feed store.
So Tractor Supply, IFA, Cow Ranch.
And it's a milk-based substance.
It's a milk-based
And you can get it in pretty big quantities, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's for like all sorts of livestock.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
dogs too. Like it's just for all sorts of animals. It's a good brand.
Yeah.
Because you can get it in big quantities, which a lot of the puppy milk replacers you get in these bullshit
16
little
ounce,
cans.
16 ounce
Yeah,
can,
these are
little
constantly
cartons.
running back to the
Yeah.
store,
This is-
hoping,
Yeah.
praying that they have the cans there to make. Oh yeah,
It's
it's
full
a
of
nightmare.
probiotics, all that good shit. And,
Yeah.
and 22 grams of protein. So it's way, way better than feeding that goat milk. And
Oh,
my
yeah.
pups are doing way, way better. So
Yeah.
That makes sense.
shout out to Uni Milk.
Oh, that's good. That's good. A big
Sponsor us.
Would you say that like I would guess, what would you say would be the reason that you would feel that this would be the situation? Do you think it was due to a C-section? Do you think if maybe she had a whelped it naturally,
I
she'd be a
feel
little
like
bit-
Well, we bred her the first time and she
First
had a
time,
C-section.
and we
She
cut her open
rejected
too
it.
early. So I feel like she lacks that mother instinct.
So this time we actually had her do it natural, but she still rejected him.
And she still,
And we-
she was slowly bonding with them a little bit, and then she didn't want them.
What kind of mom was her mom?
Her
She
mom
was a
great
good mom.
Really?
Really?
Yeah,
That's why
great
we were
mom.
super
Damn, that's-
confused.
yeah, that's
Usually
good.
it just passes down, like,
Oh,
depends
yeah.
on how the mom is.
Right.
So it was a
Could
whole
just
new
be
situation.
like you said, just taking them too early.
Mm-hmm.
The levels in her hormones levels in her brain are probably off at that point when you're
Yep.
taking them early, and she's really confused. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's tough.
Yep. So find a good vet. don't listen to your vet if he doesn't want to do X-ray or reverse progesterone, because that's some bullshit.
It'll save your life.
Would
It'll
you?
save-
I have a question. Would you breed that same bitch again, knowing 2 times in a row that she's rejected?
Probably not.
Probably not, honestly.
Yeah.
It's probably more work than it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would feel.
Yeah,
It's a
this
lot
is
of work.
also worst case like scenarios.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
most times you're not gonna need to do any of these things.
No, yeah.
Your bitch is gonna
Yeah.
do all the work.
Yeah.
And
Clean.
we put them in an incubator too.
Yeah, I'm more of a hands-on breeder, so I like to do everything in-house mainly. So I made my own rinky-dink incubators out of totes and stuff, and I have an oxygen condenser that's flowing oxygen freshly in there.
And humidifier.
And then I have a humidifier and a heating source to keep my
No, it's
pups
legit.
at-
Yeah, it's legit.
Yeah, and then I have a temperature regulator
Mm-hmm.
on there, so it'll shut off when it gets to a certain heat level. That's the only way I kept these pups alive. If I just had them in a little whelping box with
A heating
a
pad.
heating pad, these pups wouldn't have made it.
No, the mother's a huge part of that too.
Mother's a huge part. You need that mother's milk, or you need to have this other stuff.
Right.
I mean, really, just even
You need
the
you need
mom
to also
itself, the
go
touch
into
of the
some more
mom.
detail
Mm-hmm.
in what you need to do when your bitch doesn't take care of the puppies.
Mm-hmm.
On
Yeah.
top of feeding them.
Stimulating them. Making sure
Stimulation's a big key. You don't want your pups to get all constipated and stuff, and then you can run into stomach issues where a stomach flip that can kill your pup. Yeah, that's a nightmare. Don't want to go through that, right? So,
Some people don't know, but your mother to your puppies actually helps them go to the bathroom. She stimulates their private parts to actually make them go poo and pee.
Right.
And if she's not doing that, you got to do that. You have to step in and be the mother.
Right.
And so you'll have to take a warm or wet washcloth or something, and just rub their hind ends, real lightly and gently until they defecate. And it's no fun, but
and
you got-
if you don't get them to defecate, then you need to do an enema. What I do with enemas is I get a little 1 cc syringe and I fill up warm water and I mix dish soap in there to help that poop slip out.
Mm-hmm.
And I gently shove it into the pup's anus and then let that go, and then hopefully the pup defecate. If not, we're going to the vet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if they get backed up, they get really sick really quickly.
Mhm.
So you have to stay on top of that.
Yeah, and they'll fade quick. They'll fade fast.
Honestly, the first 2-3 weeks they can't use the restroom by themselves.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, once they get a little bit older, they can do that by themselves. Fortunately, so you don't have to do it the whole time.
No. Yeah. Yeah. That's a big part. That's crazy because people, when they think about puppies, they just think, oh, it's just a natural process. But no, the mom is huge. She's huge because, like you guys said, the stimulation is almost key. If the puppy's not going to the bathroom, that's one thing I know we all look for, is this puppy going to the bathroom, even when they get older. You know what I mean?
Bloated stomach.
Yeah, let's feel the stomach, checking, the firmness of it, seeing how this puppy is. Is it breathing right? Is it, having is it lethargic? How is it doing? So this is a huge part. If the mom's not doing it, that you have to pay attention to, because if you don't, like we talked about, you're losing out on an investment. And from my experience, thankfully I haven't had to deal with much of this. Like I was telling you guys a little bit earlier, I have the cleft lip puppy right now off of my Beef and Crenshaw litter, and so far with my experience, I tried the tube. It didn't work for me, but the bottle's been great. What I did have to do though, and a big thing that you guys have to look out for, is the nipple of the bottle, because as Kyle talked before, aspiration is deadly. It's deadly. So what I like to do first is, a lot of these nipples don't even come with holes poked in them. So you take a needle, you warm it up a little bit, and you poke a hole in the front and you poke a hole in the top. Not necessarily the top, but more or less the top of the nipple part. And what this will do is it'll kind of create a flow through the middle hole, but still kind of not have, you don't want to have to squeeze the bottle.
Overwhelm them.
Right, not overwhelm them, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people, they don't see enough coming out of the tip, so they squeeze it and then they're drowning up. You're seeing milk coming out of the puppy's nose. You know, and I'm only telling you guys this through experience as well. So that's what I like to do, so that way it kind of keeps a nice even flow on it, and I only let the puppy kind of pull what it needs to. If I notice that it's needing a little bit more, I'll only adjust the holes. Maybe poke another hole, make the hole a little bit bigger, but I'll never squeeze the bottle, because at that point you never know how much pressure you're really putting on that bottle and how much flow is going through the nipple.
Right.
So that's one thing that I'd like to have people kind of pay attention to when it comes to bottle feeding and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm pretty thankful because I've had natural natural whoop litters where my female just had them at home, and I did have complications. You know, she had 13, but unfortunately 2 passed during birth. 1 came out not fully developed, so that happens in a big litter, and then another unfortunately just passed away after. I'm not quite sure why exactly it passed away. It was just we woke up and on the 45-minute check, and it was gone. It was unfortunate, but this is kind of what happens. And then with a female out of that litter that I ended up keeping, I've only had C-sections, but thankfully she's a phenomenal mother. I'm very blessed, because the second she wakes up, she immediately knows, one, to not pick up the puppies, which I'm very thankful for, because a lot of these moms come out of anesthesia and they want to pick up the puppy. They don't know how much pressure they're putting into their bite, so they'll bite through the puppy, they'll puncture the puppy's stomach, different things, and they'll do it with multiple of them because they're just trying to move their puppies around or trying to bunch them up into different places. And so that's a big thing that people got to look out for with coming out of anesthesia and C-sections. But thankfully with Crenshaw, which is the female that we're speaking of, she came out, she was right on to licking her puppies, making sure that they were okay, smelling them, and then kind of separating herself, putting her in a good space to kind of watch over them. And with the first litter, I was like, much like how you guys talked about, separated them, kept them in like a little incubator type system. And but the mom, she almost didn't let me, if that's pretty much the best way to say it. I have the whelping box in my room. It's right at the foot of my bed, and she would literally just whine at me and cry all night. She would not have it. So my wife, being a mom herself, she said, just put the babies with her because it's probably going to be the best thing for her. I ended up doing that, and I saw a significant gain in the puppy's weight, and not only that, but how also my female was kind of acting and being. To say she impressed me would probably not describe it, but she immediately went on to taking care of them. And with the second litter, I came home, I had them in the incubator for a day, and then I let her just kind of do her thing while she came out of anesthesia. And thankfully I've been, okay, haven't had too many problems and issues like that. But I'd say a big part of that success is the female. Is the female. If you don't have a good, solid, minded bitch, it's kind of hard to. And the thing with this is too, it's no fault due to the actual owners of the dog. It's a lot of it is the dog's mindset itself and how the dog matures. And not every dog's gonna be a great mom.
And it's just like humans. There's
just like humans, right?
Moms that just can't be moms.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Amen.
It's not just
There's
the
some
dogs.
good moms and there's some bad moms.
Parents in general, right?
Oh
exactly.
yeah, we don't want to get in that.
No. We'll
Shout out the
night.
bad mom.
We'll be here all night. But
Yeah.
no, yeah, I think that's great as far as the litter and whelping section. I think what the next part we could kind of cover is
I think you guys can both cover what you guys do from the beginning of.
Oh, breeding.
breeding. Yeah,
Yeah.
Is breeding, like the breeding part.
As far as when a breeding goes according to plan, maybe not the one that you just described. I mean, that one is really important to go into detail
Right.
I'm not saying it's not.
No,
I'm
yeah.
just saying.
It's a rarity to have that.
It's super rare because like we see on these 90% of everything.
I've been doing this for 10 years. Never had a female reject pups.
Right.
I'm like, damn. Okay, let's go.
Yep.
How
And that's
do I do?
when
What do I
things
do
really
next?
get hard.
Yeah.
You gotta have these visual ass things going on through your head. You need to know what's your next step in this situation if that happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And last time we weren't prepared, but you
No.
know what? We learned.
You're never prepared.
No one's ever
You're never
prepared.
prepared for
You'll never be.
every situation until
No.
they happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you have to get prepared.
Yep.
Then you'll be ready for the next time
Right.
it happens.
But
Absolutely.
all these pups lived, man. I kept
Hey,
them up. They're still
shout out y'all. Y'all did amazing.
They'll
I seen the puppies. They look
yeah.
great.
Thank
3
you.
weeks old
3
right
weeks
now and
old.
thriving. They're doing great.
They
Good
have
job.
teeth and ready to be on mush soon.
Yeah. So you want us to start from where we start with breedings?
Breedy? Yeah.
Yeah, take it off with breedings.
Well, again, it's pretty much the same thing to roll over what Jared said. You look for first drop of blood, and then either a progesterone test or I have my own thing that's called a Dromonsky. It's an ovulation tester. It's pretty similar to a progesterone test, and I track the levels of that. And
I
then
had pretty high success with it.
Yeah.
I shout out Kyle and Lynette. They had the Kyle got the magic hands.
Hey,
Okay.
boy.
He got the magic hands. You ask Beef love this man. Okay.
Get the gloves. Doc.
Came through with a
lot
nine
of
piece
dogs
for
love
me.
it.
Came through with a
But
nine piece.
yeah, I do a lot of stuff in-house. So I do all my AIs personally. I offer AIs. I do the ovulation test. I track my female, and then I do fresh AIs. Boom. Artificial insemination, where I directly go through the vagina with a pipette, insert it into her ovaries. And
We do it multiple times.
multiple
too.
times, you know.
Yes.
But I do that on some breeds. Other breeds, like French Bulldogs, I'll do a surgical or a TCI. It's just different, you know. Each breed, because I breed multiple different breeds. I breed Shorty Bulls, American Bullies, both Pocket and XL, and then
Frenchies.
French Bulldogs, and now I got a litter of Dachshunds coming, mini Dachshunds.
Oh, wow.
What's
Yeah.
going on?
Oh man.
All my
first-
bitches went into heat the same week, so it was a nightmare.
We already had their studs lined up, so.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
was
That's
kinda
good.
like-
That's
You're
good.
on top of that
Yeah.
ball.
I mean, they're already paid for, so we might as well.
Yeah, so that's what we do mainly, and then we'll wait 40 days, and then we'll go do an ultrasound,
Mm-hmm.
confirm it on there, and then we'll wait till like 53, 55, and get an x-ray done. Gives you a good idea amount of pups you got. Again, if you're going to do a C-section on that pup, you won't want to have an x-ray done so you know how many pups are in there.
And
Give
the
or take.
reverse,
Very
reverse
important.
projection.
Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want your vet. The biggest part is you want to know for your vet so that way they know what to be expecting. And
Well, you
really
want to know
you.
how many are coming out.
Yeah.
Well, that I mean, you always
We've
gonna
all
want to
we've
know.
all heard the horror stories where people have puppies left inside,
and they're
right?
at home, or they're at
Yes.
home, and the puppy and the female just goes into labor, and you know,
And there's
maybe
another
you got
puppy.
6, and then there's 4 more still in there. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
That does
So,
that has happened.
It's
a lot.
happening, you know. So that I'm telling you, these
Or you go to bed and there's still one in there.
yeah, it comes out an hour later. You walk out to another puppy like, yo, whoa, you
And
know.
if you leave a puppy in there, it can kill your bitch too.
Yes,
Yeah.
sepsis.
Mhm.
You can turn septic, and then
Yeah, if you leave the puppy in there, if the puppy doesn't get out, it'll die. Then it'll turn toxic to the mom, kill her from the inside out.
yep.
Mhm.
And that's unfortunate. Seen that happen a few times, and
Mhm.
wouldn't wish that on anyone.
Yep, and then we'll leave our pups with the mom till they're around 3.5 weeks old, and then we'll start doing mush. With our mush process, we get a coffee grinder,
Okay.
and we blend down the kibble that we're going to get them on.
Uh-huh.
Add the milk replacer in there, blend it all together, boom, add water, there's your mush.
That's it right there. Sounds
Just
like the
plug, y'all.
recipe. Sounds like the recipe right there.
But then we'll start putting the pups in their own little area, you know, and then we like to potty train our pups. So we lay alfalfa little pellets down.
Correction, me potty train the pups.
Yeah.
You do not potty train.
I don't got patience.
Shout out Lynette.
Shout out Lynette.
No, I've
If you're getting
potty
potty
trained
trained
all
pups.
my dogs. All of them.
She's the trainer, I'm the breeder. You feel me?
Perfect
Yeah.
combination.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. That's not bad at all.
But yeah, then what? How you want
What?
to touch base on your potty training since you're talking
Potty
about
training.
Yeah, how you do it.
Well, I can't give away all my secrets. Just kidding.
Some of those you got to keep in the back
Yeah.
pocket.
No, obviously you have to wait till they're fully vaccinated. You can't take them out till they're fully vaccinated. So how are you going to potty train them inside?
Right.
And mainly I just kind of leave an area of where they can potty and where they sleep. And most of the time, puppies don't poop where they sleep. Most of the time.
Right. Most of the time. It's keyword.
Keyword, there's some pups that just don't give a crap.
No.
Just poop and pee everywhere.
Yep.
What
But
crap.
most of
Yeah.
the time they'll know where to pee and poop. That's mainly what I do. That's it. Like, if they get old enough and they have their full vaccinations, then I start having them a schedule. And you want to crate train them in that time, but crate training is very important, I believe. If you don't
Absolutely,
crate
yeah.
train your dog,
If you like your
then-
furniture, crate train.
Yeah.
If you like your
And-
house.
Yeah.
Crate train.
If you like your house, I mean, I can tell you right now, I'm owning my house 5 years and going through crate training and letting my dogs do what they want. You're gonna be remodeling a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I live my life remodeling my house.
You can leave your dogs out 150 times, then on the 151st, they'll tear everything. to
And they rip
pieces.
the whole house up. You
You'll
come
come
home
home
to
to a
nothing.
surprise, believe me.
No,
crazy.
it's not cruel. No, it's not a prison. It's their den.
They loved their crates.
It's
Right.
actually
They feel
a safe
safer.
area.
Yeah.
It's a safe
When you're
area.
not there, they feel safest in their crates.
Right. I agree. My dogs it's funny because when it's cold outside, they all want to run inside and go straight into their crates, and it's like, I'm just go outside and hang out. It's, sunny out, but nope. They want to be in where it's warm in their nice little dens. That's how the canine species is. They like to have a den. They like to have a nice, tight, confined space to where they feel safe, and that's where you make that kennel. You don't make it it's a form of discipline at the same time, yes, but you don't just make it that. Everything with moderation. You know what I mean? It's very important to have your dog crate trained, but not just for disciplinary reasons, also to help it. You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of situations where dogs will go into their crates when they're scared of something.
Yeah.
They hear a loud noise and they'll go running into their crates.
My dogs can't sleep without going in their crates.
Yeah.
Oh, that, yeah.
Satan,
So just be walking
Satan
Some
can't
dogs will just
sleep.
be restless.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just-
Satan, I'll leave him out all day and he can't sleep. He'll just wander.
Just looking
in
for a
his
place to
cage.
go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he'll
Looking for a
wander
place
in
to
his
go.
cage and then he'll sleep in there.
yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah,
much all
some
I
people
remember.
some people want them to sleep in their rooms or on their beds with them, and most of the times they just feel best in their kennels.
Right. But that doesn't mean leave them in there. Let the motherfuckers out. Let them go play. Let them be
Stop
dogs.
humanizing your dogs.
Yeah, seriously.
They're still dogs.
Yeah, that is one thing that gets me sometimes. Is people that baby their dogs and treat them like people. I mean,
Like actual.
No, those are
they
the
are
problem dogs.
They are animals.
Those
at
are the
the end
problem
of
dogs.
the day.
Those are the dogs that you see 9 times out of 10 nipping at somebody, biting at a
Barking.
kid, barking all the time, growling at something. It's
Misbehaving.
yes, discipline
Spoiled.
and is very huge. Reward is huge as well, but people get lost between discipline and reward and just reward because they feel that their dog only deserves reward when at the same time there's things that happen to where that's not how it is. They have to know that is a reward.
It's
That's
just
the
like
point.
raising kids.
Just like raising.
You have to teach them
It
right
is.
from wrong, or else they're just gonna do everything wrong.
Yep.
I just started rowing that boat, so we'll see where the river takes us.
And I don't have kids, fortunately, but I know better to raise my dogs.
Amen to that.
I had a story where these people denied their dogs are not going to get crate trained because it's cruel, and so they left their dogs,
What their
And
house look like?
their house almost exploded because they got on the stove, they turned on the gas somehow, and they came home and their whole house was full of gas.
Holy hell, their dogs are like dead on the,
Dead. Carbon monoxide poisoning.
dead on the floor. Damn.
I don't know if they chose to crate train after that, but
I hope they figure something out because old Cujo and Little Rascal, they ain't making it around my house like that.
You sure there's no little mouse around there named Jerry?
Yeah, what's going on over there?
Yeah, what's going on in that house?
That's scary. No, I think it's definitely important. But at the same time, you know, training your dog is important. Having that base training of a crate, the basic commands of your dog really understanding you. Your dog must understand you. If your dog doesn't understand you, you need to do some work because there are going to be some problems there down in the future. So that's one thing that I'd like to say. And
dogs need to learn their boundaries.
they have to. And it's not a bad thing for them to have them either.
No.
You know, you're not a bad owner if you have set certain boundaries for that dog or for your dogs in general.
The crate training is always big because you never know when you might need someone to watch a dog for you or something.
Right.
And some people can't just let that dog roam around their house all day.
No.
You know, there may be a time where that dog needs to go into a crate. And if that dog isn't trained to go into a crate, they're going to become 10 times more anxious than they already are being in a strange place
Absolutely.
with strangers.
Well, look at a show setting, for example. We've all been into shows. We've all been in a show setting. You guys killed it this weekend. Shout out, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as we know, when we go to shows, we'll be sitting at a show for hours on end with your dog just in a kennel.
Yeah.
You know, so if
they
your
have
dog
to be in a crate.
They have to be in a crate. So if your dog isn't used to being in the crate and you're at a show for
Your
8
dog
hours,
is gonna be whining.
oh
and
man, and I feel
whining.
bad
You'll
for
be
you.
embarrassed.
I
It
feel
is
bad
embarrassing.
for you.
It's embarrassing. I've had a dog like that, and
Yep.
it is so embarrassing.
It is. It sucks. It sucks. I've
Well,
had.
he's crate trained. It's just he has bad anxiety. So.
When some dogs, the second it can't even, sometimes it's not even you, it's when you walk away, when you leave that dog is when they want to start singing.
And imagine
So-
if he wasn't, how much his anxiety would be then.
Oh, no, yeah, exactly.
It's all about being in strange places with strangers. That's why you need to train them to be able to go in a crate.
Right, it's important. It's definitely important. It's huge
And
part
even
of
then, they still be anxious, but they'll still feel safer in that crate than 9 times out of 10 than being out and roaming around home by themselves. You know?
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to kind of touch on, my part of breeding, like like y'all as well. So with me, I've done kind of both. I'm kind of all around the table. I've been to South Mountain.
Which do you prefer, natural or C-section births?
It depends on the breed. Frenchies.
Oh, that's fair.
It's always
C-section, right?
And I'm
No matter
never
what.
gonna risk
Shorty
it.
bulls as well, would you
Shorty
say?
bulls. Yeah, always a C-section. But with my XLs, I prefer to always let my XLs go naturally.
Mm-hmm.
But I always have my vet on
Check
standby,
on.
in
Yeah.
checkup.
Our
On
pockets,
standby.
it depends.
Pockets are a 50-50. I like to get her cervix announced.
Would you kind of say you base it off of the males and kind of the female structure?
Structure overall, you don't want a big ass head coming through that canal.
No, yeah, of course.
Big ass problems.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
And then we watch for warning signs too. If they're going through natural and we see the warning signs,
Mm-hmm.
then we rush them in.
mhm.
You know, if it's necessary.
Yeah.
Because obviously she's in distress, the puppy's in distress. And
Yeah. I've waited too long. I had a pup in my back seat, one singleton. That was it. The pup was dead on the way to the vet.
Damn.
So you just gotta keep an eye on it. It was a co-own, so they didn't know what they were doing. But it's all good. Just follow the temperature, follow your progesterones. You'll be all right. If
Yeah.
you need help, reach out.
Reach out, ask for help. There's people who will give you the advice. There's people who will help you out, tell you what you need to do, what you should freak out about, what you shouldn't freak out about. Just ask for help. There's plenty of people out there. I know for myself, with doing both natural and C-section, I would definitely recommend a C-section just because, like we said, you're protecting that investment. It's a quick process. It's a no stress kind of situation for you and really your female. I know for me, the second that it had, I start seeing the signs in labor, I start stressing, because you never know really what's going to happen. You really never know. So for me, I like to have it all pre-scheduled. I like to be kind of on time and getting those things done, reverse progesterone, and making sure that we're all on the same page to kind of, make sure everyone comes out safely. With this previous litter that I just had, the Beef and Crenshaw, it was crazy. She went into labor, and she didn't have any signs. She wasn't panting. She wasn't like doing anything different, digging, anything like that. She goes outside to go pee, and I'm just watching her because that's usually what I do. I watch them, when they're close to labor, just to make sure nothing happens. And she's going pee, and something just shoots out like a torpedo. And she look at me, and I look at her like, yo. And I go out there, and sure enough, by the time I get out there, I let her out with her mom, actually, which is Lila. And they were both cleaning off the puppy. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, well, it's go time. I got to go. So thankfully, I made it an hour down to South Mountain. She still hadn't had another puppy yet. She hadn't passed another puppy. We got her got directly into the C-section. Thankfully, it wasn't an emergency because I had it pre-scheduled. Like I said, keep in contact with your vet. And everything went smooth. They got her directly into the C-section. Pups were born within an hour, and they called me, that morning, and I had healthy puppies.
Yeah,
so
she had a pup at your crib?
She had one at the house.
That's wild.
She had one at the house. It was crazy. She had there was no bleeding. There was nothing. She literally go and pee, and
Damn.
it was quick, fast. It like if you blinked, you'd have missed it. And I go out there, and there's a puppy, sure enough. And the puppy's great now. The puppy's one of the biggest males now. But that's just, prime example. Thankfully, like I said, we made it down to the vet and got that taken care of. Now, her sister, which is a female that I co-own with one of my partners, shout out Justin Duran, that's my boy. He took his female in. She was already at South Mountain, which this is no fault to them. As we both know, they're extremely busy. But she started having the puppies naturally. She had 3 naturally. She did amazing, did great. The vets actually called us, told us what was going on, asked us what we wanted to do. We told them, go ahead, proceed with the C-section. That way we can just get it done, get it over with quick. She recovered great, immediately went right to being a mom, and all the puppies made it fine.
That's good.
Yeah, there was 12 puppies out of that, and thankfully all of them made it, and they're all good. So I would say that C-section has saved my ass, really, because 12 puppies coming out of her, that's a lot of work,
It's a lot of energy.
It's a lot of energy, and watching just my wife have a kid, I can only imagine what a dog goes through having 12 or 13, even anything over 1. Shout out women, shout out anything. You have babies, shout out, because
Hey, one's tough
don't
too.
know. Hey, yeah, one is hard
Big
too.
ass baby.
Them babies be crazy. But yeah, I highly would recommend a C-section. It's less stress on you, less stress on your female. You protect your investment, and it's just an overall kind of I feel a better situation for you, especially when you're getting into where we are as far as investments and people wanting to see these productions, and you wanting to see your productions as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it's huge part of it. So
Yeah, fortunately, you didn't lose any.
no, thankfully I didn't, because
That's good.
I was pretty nervous about that, the one that came out at home.
Yeah.
But it was super strong, showing great signs of. So while we're on the way down, I actually just latched him onto his mom, so he was able to get quite a bit of milk before we got to the actual vet. And the second we got to the vet, they were pumping him full of puppy milk and stuff like that in colostrum. So
Cool.
he did
Awesome.
great. He did awesome. They kept me updated the whole time. I was really thankful. And I've really only had an experience through Pew at South Mountain, so I'm super thankful. Like Jared said, shout out South Mountain. They're honestly probably the best in Utah. I've had nothing but success and great experiences there, so I really appreciate what they've done for me. So touching on that, I'd say we'd all agree on C-sections, really. Mainly, depending on really, what it may be. Kyle says he likes for his XLs
My
natural.
naturally.
And if you could kind of touch on why you would prefer to have your XLs, would you say it's because of?
It's just, They make it easy.
They make it easy. Which shows the size of the
Yeah.
was it makes it.
The pups are small and the dogs are big.
Big.
Yeah.
That's it.
Pockets are really compact,
Right.
tiny,
Right.
thick dogs.
Hmm.
XLs, I mean, they're bigger.
The big part of it, they can
So-
reach.
Yeah.
They can reach.
And I already know the female that I have when we breed her. I know she's gonna deliver natural. She's never given me complications. Obviously, we watch her.
Right.
And when they
But-
can, that's the best way to do it.
Oh yeah,
Because they get
natural
that-
is the best.
They
And-
get that bond with their puppies when they're birthing them and cleaning them.
Right.
And honestly, we don't really have to do much with our XL bitch, which is really nice. you know?
Reagan's one of the best moms I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. That's nice.
I mean,
She's
we
really
still
good.
watch them, but she fully takes care of them. We don't move the puppies out of there. She's
I-
actually when she gets in the whelping box, she moves them out of the way so she can sit. So
She's really, really good.
well,
Really alert too.
That's good.
It's
That's
odd.
always.
It's like,
That's,
it was
Yeah,
funny
that's
because we woke up to her last litter. We didn't know she was in labor, so we woke up with 3 puppies already born
oh man.
without us, and she actually was covering them to keep them warm.
Uh huh.
Because we didn't have the heating lamp. We were like really underprepared. But
Right.
she was keeping them warm.
We didn't do that breeding.
Yeah, we didn't do the breeding. That's why. So we didn't know the
we
date.
sold Reagan, okay?
Mhm.
And Reagan came back to us. We didn't know what day she's been bred, this, that, and the next.
She told us to do a date, but it was actually like a week and a half before. So we weren't ready.
So we were totally
Oh, man.
blinded by it.
So we just woke up with some puppies, and she actually was covering them, keeping them warm, and she got them.
See, and that's the situation you wouldn't even know to reverse progesterone because
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
how
You're totally
you would
blind.
have gone the next week to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, would have been too late. So,
No.
but I don't know.
Just to get off topic, Monday I had to repossess a dog. Have you guys repossessed a dog before?
Yes, and it sucks.
It's,
I hate it.
it's one of the worst feelings as a breeder. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have to repossess a dog.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like you failed the dog, really.
Yeah.
It's really the word. Yeah, that's the end of the day. That's what it is.
yeah, so I'll spill the beans on this whole story that happened to me Monday.
Just yesterday.
Yeah. No, yesterday. It was yesterday.
Oh boy, it must have been a long day.
Yeah, it was a long day
It's
yesterday.
been a long
Oh,
weekend.
so you had fun too.
It was really interesting.
Oh my god.
I was ready to kill
So-
somebody at the show.
Shoot.
It was bad.
You know Heathen, right?
Right.
Right. So his litter. Heathen's dad passed away like 2 weeks after we did the breeding.
Mhm.
So I have the last of this dog named Diesel. I pay the stud fee for Diesel. Excuse me, sorry. I pay the stud fee for Diesel and everything. You know, I see the families upset that own Diesel, so I give them a puppy for free off of Diesel. You know,
Wow.
just to
That's awesome.
have a little
Yeah.
piece of him. You
Yeah.
know?
No. Yeah.
I thought it was a respectable thing, you know. I see this dog being posted like 2 weeks ago. I love my boy Chance by some random people. I see, okay, you know, whatever. They probably are co-owning him out or something, you know, doing something cool with him. Yesterday, I see the dogs being listed for a rehoming fee by some people I don't know.
And
who
that's the
they
dog
are.
that we gave away for free.
This
For free.
This is the dog I
And
gave away.
the original owners don't have him.
So I,
Some random people are rehoming him.
You don't even know who this dog's with.
No.
I have no clue, you know. I was
And that
totally
makes
blinded.
us look bad, you know. I hate seeing my dogs get rehomed.
I hate
mean,
that.
I understand their situations. I understand.
Right.
But when it's not coming from like my house.
Communication.
Yeah.
Communication.
Yep.
So if you buy a dog from a reputable breeder, usually in a contract or something, the dog comes back to the breeder before you can resell it or rehome it.
Yes.
I had a verbal agreement with this person, but it didn't happen. They made the assumption that I would not want the dog. So that's not the case. I went and got the dog. Dog's in great hands. And yeah, I'm happy to have him. It was an unfortunate situation, but it's what us breeders have to go through. I feel like this year's been one for the books. And yeah.
Yeah, repossession of a dog is never fun. It wasn't myself, but my partner had my ex-partner actually Gabe Lopez. Shout out Gabe Lopez with Ominous Bullies. He unfortunately had a family friend. It was crazy. But there was a situation where the dog broke its canine, and we became kind of suspicious about how it broke its canine. You know, the dog was over a certain age where the tooth was matured, you know, and it kind of didn't make a sense. The only sense that made to us as to how this dog would have broke its tooth was blunt force, right? And when we asked him about it, the story really didn't make sense. Oh, the dog ran into a wall. Oh, and then he kind of ran into a door. Okay, so what happened to this dog? And truth be told, come to find out that he kicked the dog in the mouth and broke its canine. And so we went through the process of actually repossessing that dog and going through the process of finding it a new home. It's in a great home now. But the actual process of taking the dog from that home was terrible because the dog doesn't necessarily understand what's going on at the end of the day, right? They're there, they love where they're at, they love their people, and then you take them from that situation and they don't really, you can't tell them. So at the end of the day, the person who was at fault, they lose out, but really who is at the mercy of you is that dog. So it sucks because you get to see the sadness in that animal, obviously, when they leave in a situation like that. But it's also your responsibility to make sure that dog is in the best home possible, so that way it can flourish in life. Because at the end of the day, whether we're breeder, champion breeder, this or whatever it may be, our main focus should be finding solid, good homes for these dogs to grow up in and to go to permanent homes. And that's really what they deserve. They deserve permanent homes, going to people that's going to take care of them, love them, spoil them, and really make something of them. You know, so I think that's a key part of being breeders and being responsible for it as well.
I think there's a misconception that breeders don't care about our animals, man. I think a lot of breeders care more about our dogs than a lot of people.
Let me ask you this: how do you feel when your litter's gone? The day your litter, every puppy leaves from your litter, how do you feel?
Heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking, right?
You just miss those. You form little bonds with each little puppy for different reasons, and so just each one goes to their homes, it breaks your heart a little bit, you know. But when you see them down the road, thriving in their new families, and
makes you happy.
Yeah, and you see how happy and how much they love that little dog and how well it's treated. Man, you couldn't have done that dog more justice.
Absolutely.
You know? It makes you just like radiate with joy.
At the end of the day, that's really what it's about. It's not about getting the biggest bag or anything like that. It's about creating the most functional and best dog to fit the breed standard and to make sure that dog goes into the best home possible.
Amen.
So
I'd rather sell to a pet home.
I sell to a pet home every day.
All day.
Yeah.
All day. When people come to me and they say, I don't really want to breed, I am thankful. I'm almost like, what can we do to get you this dog?
Yeah.
Because I would much rather have
lose out on money just for that dog to be in a
great home.
Yeah,
because here's one
home.
thing. Here's one thing that I'll say as well is, you lose out on a couple thousand, right? But this person is gonna take this dog everywhere. This dog's gonna go to work with them. This dog is gonna go to every family gathering. This dog's gonna go to the gym. Different things like that. It's gonna
they
have
don't
the
get
best
that
life.
life with a breeder.
And not only that, it's gonna get you the exposure that you wouldn't have got with the breeder, because as we all know, 8 times out of whatever it may be, you send a dog to a breeder, you won't even see that dog.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
You don't even get updated pictures.
You don't even get updated pictures of that dog. So it's like how
You don't even know if they have the dog.
Sometimes
You don't even know if you
they
have the
won't
dog.
even put your kennel in front of the dog's
No,
name.
they won't.
They'll just
They'll
completely
put
put their own kennel in front
Exactly.
of it.
That is huge too. Is give recognition to who created that dog.
Yes.
Because we all go through so much work to have that. And for anybody who says that they don't want that is lying, because you're not really doing anything then. That having what you've created on the front of that is huge. Huge. People have to put that out there. So
Yeah, and I just think it's funny that when you sell to these pet homes, people ask them, man, where did you get that dog? They immediately blast your kennel name to these people, you know? They're your biggest supporters. They're spreading the word out more than anybody.
Yes, exactly.
These other guys, they'll be like, oh, don't worry about where I got
just
it. Get one from me.
Exactly, bro. That's huge.
You'll hear that 10 times out of 10.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
it's true.
Unless they're a respectful breeder who pay, you know, pay tribute to those who they got it from.
Who they actually got it from, and then they shout you out, give you credit for where it came from.
Most times, those are people who, you know, sold dogs to other breeders themselves. They can appreciate, you know, people just doing that much, giving them the kennel name and where they got their dogs from, you know.
Absolutely.
And then letting the people decide where they want to get their dog.
Right.
Yeah.
You're stamped into history on that pedigree.
It has to. It's huge.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
It's huge. People have to understand that the work that we put in isn't just to be putting on a back burner. No, it's actually to be represented, and us having that on there is a form of that representation of what we've done. So, huge, very very important, I think, for people to understand as well. So.
Yeah. I know my favorite owners of dogs of mine have been people who've purchased either with breeding rights or without, but never intended to breed, you know? Mm-hmm. Those are the best homes.
Just got a dog to have the dog. We're willing to pay what it was worth, but just, you know, wanted to have it because this is what it is.
Just
it's
fell
the
in love
quality.
with the breed and wanted a cool dog.
Right.
Don't
Absolutely.
lowball you or anything, too.
Nope, they appreciate your hard work.
Right. This is not all collecting checks. There is a lot of sleepless nights. There's a lot of money lost. There's a lot of tears shed.
Money invested.
There's a lot of money invested. A lot of relationships that may be lost because people don't always agree with what you do.
Some days I
But-
just
It's not all
give up.
sunshine and rainbows.
It ain't.
Some days it just, when it rains, it pours, and
Hard.
it comes hard.
Yep.
Some days comes down hard on you, and there are days when you just want to give up, sell all of your dogs, and just quit.
I've
Yep.
had those days.
Yep. And I think we've touched on that before, but I think we would all agree that
And
this
if you don't love the breed, you won't stick around in it. There's so many people who dip their toes into it for
this is
money.
a lifestyle.
Then they hit that day. That day comes and they say, "Oh, I'm done. I'm
How
out."
many people have we seen through the years?
Oh,
Yeah.
I've seen
man.
tons. I was talking about one. I have a client that actually bought that had a dog from Blue Kingdom Kennels, you know, and they were making some noise out here, and then some things happened. Things went down, and now they faded out. But he had gotten a dog that had those bloodlines, but he couldn't find anybody who knew anything about him. You know, fortunately enough, I kind of saw their whole story and go through what they went through. So I was able to kind of update them and let them know kind of the dog's background and how that dog came to be and different things like that. But, you know, perfect prime example right there. So many people come and go, and this isn't a fast track. This is a marathon. You know, you got to be in it for the long run, and you have to be willing to take losses. You got to be willing to take criticism. You got to have tough skin, because if you don't, you ain't gonna make it today.
This isn't a get rich quick scheme. This is
Nah.
a get broke quick scheme.
I'm telling you, boy.
It's true.
Hey, it's funny. I had customers talking with me last night. They're like, "Yeah, we're just thinking about investing this much, and we're out, you know, this much and this much." And I'm like, "Yeah, in a couple years you'll be all right." You know what I'm saying? You might be all right. I pray.
I'll pray.
I hope. And that's what I tell them. I was like, but I ain't gonna guarantee nothing, because you never know what's gonna happen, you know. But the biggest part is also being, as a good breeder, you're always there to help your people out, no matter what situation they run into. And I want to let people know, you have to communicate with that breeder the second anything happens, if you want something done, if you want their help about it. Because if you wait and you play it out, they never know what's going on in between that time. They never know what you did to really take care of it. They never know, you know. The main part of that is communicate. Don't be afraid to communicate.
Communication.
Talk to your people. Talk to your people, and that way you can really establish, you know, really the help you need. You know, so I would think honestly, we touched on quite a bit. Huge thank you to you guys. Huge thank you to the Doghouse.
So what would you prefer then? So natural breedings or C-section?
Oh no, C-section, bro. Like I said, yeah,
What do you prefer now?
C-section, like I said, is definite the easiest to me.
Yeah.
and the most safest.
Less stressful on the dogs.
Breeding wise, I would say either a TCI or an AI. Transcervical insemination, I think, is great if you're making an investment from, say, shipping a dog from overseas, not overseas, excuse me, like from out of state, so on and so forth. Overseas, like how you said, surgical, more things like that. Or if it's a far shipping, like across, the states, you're gonna want to do frozen. So, me personally, I've done the TCIs and the AIs, have had great success with both, and I think it's worst case scenario. You have a stud coming in from out of state. You're obviously gonna want to go into the vet and get that the extra everything done. If it's your stud though, if you own the stud, like personally how I just had the Beef and Crenshaw breeding, I couldn't even get into South Mountain, as you and I both know as well. And so I called Kyle. Kyle came through. Kyle and Lynette came through, and they got that breeding done for me. We did one AI.
They gave you a lot of puppies.
Yeah, I think it was 9 cc's, right?
Yeah,
9
it's 9
cc's, and I got 8 puppies. So super thankful
cloudy
for that.
juice on beef.
Yep.
The boys producing.
Yep, and actually so far, Kyle actually did 2 breedings for me for beef. He did another one with Karma of Bully Empire's Karma, owned by Aaron Peterson in Idaho. So we'll be confirming that beef litter here coming next week, actually, because of Thanksgiving. So be excited for that as well. See how that goes. I think everything is looking solid. So
that bitch is bad.
but
We just sent some semen off to Arizona and confirmed Satan's having his first trimerals ever.
oh, that's gonna be some crazy colorful.
Never bred to a merle.
That can be another discussion.
We'll definitely make that
We'll
a
talk
discussion
about
for
that later
another
on.
time.
I think we touched on a lot though.
Yeah. But big shout out to Rob with the Doghouse, and we'll be back with you with some more.